This is episode 209, and we're talking about the content channel that you might be missing in your strategy with content marketer Bethany Myers. Welcome to the Content Queen podcast. I'm your host, Mariah, entrepreneur, storyteller, digital nomad, creator of Content Bootcamp, and founder of Content Queen with over 10 years of experience in marketing. This podcast is here to help you create the perfect content marketing plan by blending storytelling and strategy. So let's get into it. Hello, gang. All right, we're doing recorded episodes. So this is my little intro as we get into the filmed recording of the podcast, which we'll get to. But I just wanted to introduce Bethany and share a little bit more about this episode. So basically, content marketing channel that you might be missing, Google My Business. So when someone Googles your business, your little profile comes up. And maybe we'll get Mitch to do like a little thingy that pops up. So if you are watching this, you'll see what a Google profile looks like. This is where you can generate reviews, update people on your business. And really it is for those that Google, but it also helps with your AI presence in ChatGPT, etc. And I wanted to get Bethany on to come in and talk about Google My Business because she helps a lot of businesses. Now you'll find out in this episode, is it just for brick and mortar stores or is me being an online business owner benefiting from Google My Business? Well, spoiler alert, yes. So I'm going to read Bethany's bio and then we'll get stuck into the episode just so you can learn a little bit more about her. So Bethany studied creative writing at the University of Nevada, and she founded Content Social Media Queen in 2016 after experiencing massive loss and tragedy and going through grief herself. Her intent with the company is that she would be more than just a marketing agency, and really she would help create intimate collaborations with her clients where strategy meets soul. And her clients and the people that she works with aren't faceless accounts. They're visionaries, dreamers, and doers. And like any great partnership, she is here for the long haul, ensuring your brand not only survives, but flourishes. So let's chat with Bethany and hear a little bit more about Google My Business. Awesome. Bethany, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you on today. But to kick us off, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, your business story, all the things?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and connect with you. Just to kind of backtrack for a moment, I found you because my business name is called Content Social Media Queen, and I was looking and wondering, there's got to be another queen out there. So, when I saw your name, it was really fun that we connected on that just based off of our name and how we chose that for our brand. So it's exciting to be aligned with another content queen. So yeah, with that being said, I started my business in 2016. I chose the name Content Social Media Queen because at the time I was thinking, okay, how do I rank online for people that are searching for those search terms like content marketing or social media marketing? So that was kind of the thought behind my business name. And yeah, I've been doing marketing and social media for over 10 years. I studied creative writing. I got my bachelor's degree in creative writing, and so that definitely applies with the type of work that I do. And I service clients in Orange County and all over the United States. And yeah, so I have, I guess I'm kind of rambling, but I have a boutique marketing agency and just help other business owners get from where they are to where they want to be and help them move the needle in their business.
Yeah, amazing. And we know, like you and I both know, being in this industry, that people don't really want to do social media that often. I think it's the number one thing that I always get like, oh my God, I can't wait to outsource it, or, I really want to not do this anymore, or it can be quite overwhelming for people when they're first starting out. So it's good that we have more people in the world to be able to take on that task because I know it can be quite overwhelming. So when we were, and I love, it's so funny how we come up with names for our business. Mine was literally watching a TV show, and they used to say like, my friend and I watched it all the time. I can't remember what it was called now. It was these two girls lived in New York. They were so funny. They were just like, always getting up to antics. And I lived in Melbourne at the time, and I felt like I really resonated with some of their antics. And they always used to say, "Yas, Queen," to each other all the
Yeah.
time. And I was just driving to work when I went to my corporate job, and I was starting side hustling, and I like, you pick
Mm.
a business name. What is your business name? And I just like pulled up and just grabbed the pen and paper because I always had a pen and paper when I commute to work because I'd listen to podcasts and get really good
Oh,
ideas, as you do. And I just wrote down content queen, and that's sort of how it started. So it's actually really funny how we kind of come up with our
amazing.
names. It's always and
Exactly.
everyone's always like, oh, and it's actually funny. I don't know if you get the same, but like it's quite a good name to have because then people really do say like, yes, they are actually the definition of the content queen. So it's like cool to have that kind of label because if when you live up to it, people really do see it's good brand recognition, that's
Exactly.
for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. At the time, I remembered a lot of people were saying content is king. And I'm like, well, what the heck? Why can't it be queen too? So,
Yes.
exactly.
I love
Yep.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, you specialize in social media, all the things, but one of the ones that really caught my attention was Google My Business because
Yeah.
I think it's one of those, I guess, parts of the definition of it. You will share a little bit more about Google My Business, but I found it's quite an untapped resource for a lot of business owners. So, I would love for you just to break down if people don't know what Google My Business is, because actually, like, I'll talk to people and they're like, oh, what is this? Or how do I get it set up? All the things. What is Google My
Yeah.
Business and why is it important, regardless of whether they, what they do for business? Why is it important that we actually have a Google My Business account?
Okay, great question. So, Google My Business is essentially a free tool. It's a free platform where you can host your business profile. You can showcase your hours, your people can go on and review you there. It's a great place for people to essentially understand who you are, what you do, who you service. And so, not having a Google Business profile is probably a little bit detrimental to your business, even if whether you're a service provider or even selling products. It's just an important tool that I think a lot of business owners should absolutely have in their repertoire of online presence. So yeah, you can even post announcements. You can post photos. It's kind of a hub. It's similar to Yelp, where people can find you, and because it's so highly trafficked, it's really important for you to show up on Google My Business. You can show up in local search results and on Google Maps. So,
Mm. Yeah, I think people don't realize it's kind of how you get found. And obviously, if someone doesn't have a physical business, it might not matter for them to be on Google Maps. But even as an online business, like people will always Google you. And if you have that little panel that comes up on the right side with your
yes.
profile, with reviews, with little updates, or that it actually shows that you're an active business. I sometimes find like it can be a really massive credibility piece because if you have a Google My Business, it's like you're actively like making sure your business is online, it's there. But even for Google reviews, I think a lot of us now go to Google reviews as like a credible source. One of my clients is
Yes.
6 reviews off 2,000. So that is going to be
Wow,
a huge milestone. They've been in business 20
that is
years.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, and we use that. We actually use a lot of those reviews for content. I'll do like a story every week, which is like review of the week because they get weekly reviews. And it's been a massive credibility piece over on social media because it's actually encouraged people to leave comments of their
Mm,
reviews in the comments because they're seeing a review. You know what I mean? So they're like seeing people and they
okay.
go, "Oh my God, I agree. This is this, this, and this, and this." And then I can use that as a strategy to reply to that comment with a video, especially on TikTok because that's a big strategy. So then
Oh,
I like create this flow and effect, but it starts from having those Google reviews. And actually, for myself, I've stopped sending out like feedback forms and actually just send people to
mm,
a Google because I would prefer to have a Google review. If I'm going to ask for anything, yes, of course, I'd love you to fill out this feedback form, but I also would
yeah.
love you to rate me on Google because then when people search us, that's what comes up. So I think a lot of us underrate Google My Business. And so it's
Yeah.
important for us. So one of the sort of, I guess, questions is, people just assume you have to have a physical store to have, and I know obviously you've got to put your address in to claim the space.
Yeah.
Actually, I got in before that was a thing. So my address is just Australia. And
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, but now you have to have a physical address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really I'm just resonating with that because I remember it was so easy just to set up your Google business page, but now sometimes some of my clients have to take their iPhone and like physically showcase where they are and show inside their office and outside their office. So it is a little bit more detailed for
Yep.
some industries, but it at the same time, you're still providing more content for people to find you. So it's not a bad thing. It's just showing consumers even more of who you are, an insider lens. So even though it takes a little bit more work, it is worth it. So yeah.
Yeah. And what about online businesses? Obviously, if we work from home, we don't actually have a physical office. Do people that are online that, well, I don't need to Google my business profile. I don't have a physical office, da, da. What do you say to a lot of clients, even for personal brands? They're like, oh, well, I don't really need that. What would you say to people that have that sort of mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think even if you have any sort of online presence at all, let's say you're a business coach and you serve people all over the world, it's still important because you can benefit from showing up online. Even if someone is just searching locally, business coach near me, well, do you want your competitor to show up or do you want to show up? So even if you don't necessarily have a brick and mortar shop, it is important for you to create that online profile because it's just increasing your presence online. You'll be able to show up more in search results. So it's not just for someone who's providing a service to people. It's honestly anyone can benefit and should set up their Google business profile. Building trust and credibility around their name and their brand. Showing up on Google Business is important if you're trying to do that as well.
Mm. Yeah, and I think now with like AI and things like that, Chat GPT is sort of like if you're not actively like online in various spaces, because their sources now are so vast from LinkedIn to YouTube, Reddit, and all like they're the kind of top three. But I think one of the other things that I've noticed as well with Google is they now have this like knowledge panel, which I think is quite interesting. So basically, it's like if you search someone's personal brand, and I think it does go off them having a Google My Business and obviously active content. So if I search
Mhm.
my name now, I have this like knowledge panel which collates all of my content from various places and shows me as this kind of like thought leader. Um,
Mhm.
and I think even if you've got a personal brand, having that Google My Business, I think definitely helped me obtain that knowledge panel. And actually, I'll put it in the show notes for anyone. I found this really cool video showing you how to claim your knowledge panel because everyone has one. You just have to find your right one and you send like a selfie to Google with your driver's license and then they collate your knowledge panel. So when you Google, so if you Google Mariah MacInnes right now, my like big knowledge panel comes up. And I do think having that Google My Business, of course, and all the digital footprint that I've had from showing up in various places has created, and I think it just makes me look more professional, more trustworthy, like all the things like we asked, even though lots of people will say like, oh, well, I use now social media to gain trust. So many, I still like, I'm like a younger millennial in terms of I was like towards the end of the 1990s, like 1994. So I did like grow up with Google in some way, like probably not until I was like
Yeah.
in my like late childhood into like teens or preteens. So like I
Yeah.
still use Google a lot. Like it's my first source. Whereas like I know some people use social media. Like my partner who's older than me, he uses social
Yeah.
media to search things, which blows my mind. Like I'll ask him a question and he will like Google it on Instagram. And I'm like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like I just use Google. But that's when like, we're searching for things and those like Google My Business profiles, those knowledge panels, all those things. I think it just like showcases who you are, what you do, and you have like a level of control. Obviously, if like people post their own pictures or their own reviews, you can't control that, but you can
Right.
generally like put the visuals up. And for most of my clients, and that's what I do. And you mentioned that post updates, I try to like repurpose something to it once a week just so it's like active. Is that what you recommend people do? It's really easy. Like, you just add the update, you can add pictures, you can add links, etc. Do you always recommend
Yeah.
clients keep that active? How often should we be sharing things on it? What should we be sharing on there?
Yeah, just to backtrack for a second to your point, a lot of objections that I get from my clients are that they are scared if they receive a poor review. But I promise that the benefit definitely outweighs that. And you can always go in and, like you talked about earlier, comment and reply and directly communicate with that person. Um, and having those online reviews is so important because every single review, I look at it as keywords for your business. So let's say you're a business coach and they say, I worked with, Jessica, the business coach in Orange County, California. So every word that they're reviewing is technically a keyword and building your online presence. So, but yeah, as far as updating your Google business page, absolutely, I would suggest it's not necessarily quantity, it's quality over quantity is what I say, but it does also need to be consistent. So even if it's just once a week, even if it's every other week, ideally if you want to post every day, but just uploading real images of who you are, what you do. Let's say you provide tattoos, just showcasing the different types of tattoos you do. And especially your face too. People need transparency. They want to relate to you. They want to see, oh, this is a real person providing something real and unique and something that I would benefit from. So you want to be posting images that are definitely not stock images. And then when you do upload the images, you want to make sure to include keywords that you want to rank for. So you would say, uh, arm full length tattoo, Boise, Idaho. And then another one, you would kind of change it for each one. But and you can utilize AI and ChatGPT to help you with the captions. But yeah, I would definitely suggest consistent postings, staying relevant. And that is one of the biggest mistakes is when people just create the profile and set it and forget it and never get back to it or never come back to it. So it is really important to treat it as part of your social media or online presence so that you are consistently logging in and updating it.
Yeah. I really like that about the keywords. That's really good to know. Because I think like we think about it doesn't have to be this elaborate caption like we would on social media. It doesn't even have to be like this reel or anything. It can literally just be like it's kind of low maintenance in terms of social media, right? Because it doesn't like the caption can be like a couple of sentences. But I love that you're saying like make it really key to those keywords because yeah, you're right. Like that's people are searching things you want to come up, you want to rank. So I think that's a very good tip. But I find obviously it's a kind of more low maintenance because it doesn't have to be this like curated thing. It's just like a little update that shows up on your Google My Business space. And another thing I think people forget about is like if they do have like if they are closed maybe over Christmas, like every like online business, product based, maybe like you're not doing shipping after a certain date, etc. Like I think it's important either to share that or change your business hours because like how annoying is it when you go to search something and they haven't updated their hours and you go there and they're not open? Like,
It
you know,
happened to
when
me
you go
many
online.
times. Yes,
Mm,
I actually love this little boba shop near me, and I've gone on and I've checked, and then they're closed like all these random hours, and it is so frustrating as a consumer. So absolutely, you make a great point to update your business hours according to holiday or just your daily schedule. So
mm.
it's important because you might lose a client that way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And even actually, I find my own, like if I'm searching for something like I want to get my eyebrows done or, something actually has happened to me when I was traveling. I wanted to do a massage. So I Googled massage near me. And then I only clicked on the profiles that had a website because I didn't want to call because I'm in the generation we want an online book. We don't want to call anybody. I'm not calling anybody. I want an online book. So if they had a website linked on their Google, and some people probably did have a website, they just didn't link it to their Google profile. So I was like, well, that's my trusted source. I'm going through the profiles. If you don't have a website, I'm not even clicking on you. If you don't have your business hours either, because then another thing was my partner wanted to get his hair cut and we were going to walk there. So we didn't want to walk there if no one was there. So we were just like, okay, if you don't have your hours up, we're not even entertaining the idea.
Yeah.
So it's interesting,
Yeah.
like, think about your customers in that way. Like, how can you make it as easy as possible for them to know you're an existing business, know how to contact you, are able to get to your website really easy. Like I feel like these are no-brainer things that like
Yeah.
are actually really low maintenance compared to your Instagrams, your Facebooks, your TikToks, where like you have to be on the pulse all the time. Like, yes, you have to update it, but it's not like you have to be on it every second of every day. You just like Google your name, your profile comes up, and you can edit from there. Like I think it's kind
Yeah.
of a low maintenance space.
You know what I was thinking of really quickly? There's other kind of secondary tools that people use to increase their reviews. I know that it might be looked at as maybe skewing your reviews, but every single business owner wants to increase their reviews because reviews and stars equate leads. Like the more reviews you have and the more 5 stars you have, the more it tells Google and, AI can crawl everything. The more you show up as a reputable business, the more important it is, and the more people are visiting your site, it's good for search engine optimization. So, with that being said, some people, there are secondary platforms or tools where, like you're saying, instead of sending a generic message, hey, what did you think about my recent service? Every time you end a service or they purchase the product, they're sent uh, an online, they're sent a link to directly to your Google business page. And there's actual automated systems. I forget the name of them. I think I would have to look into that, but I just wanted to share that is a kind of a secondary strategy of building your Google business page is really focusing in on building your online reviews and retaining those reviews. So,
Yeah, that was one
yeah.
of my questions. I know getting Google
Oh,
reviews can
sorry.
be. No, no, you've led straight into it. It's perfect. It's a good segue. Um,
Okay.
yes, getting Google reviews can be quite challenging, especially like I it's funny, I learned a valuable lesson recently. So the client that's nearly at 2000, I was like, let's do a giveaway. Like whoever gets the 2000th review gets a free like a gift voucher or a meal on us because they're a restaurant.
Okay,
And
yeah.
but I Googled in Australia, definitely it's illegal to do that. So you can't
Yep.
do any giveaways associated with reviews. But in
Mhm.
saying that, when I was in Southeast Asia, in Vietnam specifically, I went to a Harry Potter cafe themed. It was so cool. They're like
Oh my gosh.
Warner Bros are definitely going to sue them, but that's okay. But it was like, I mean, really, it was a small cafe in a street in the city, but it
Yeah.
was really cool. And basically, if you left a Google review, they gave you a like the Deathly Hallows necklace. I'm like, I want a necklace for sure. I want a necklace, so I left a review. Not sure where that leads on like the legal, illegal. Not sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure every country has different rules and like not sure. But I really liked that because they were really big on Google reviews. And I actually find in Southeast Asia, Google reviews, like they push them a lot. Even one
Mm.
shop, if you left a Google review, you got like these like they had it was like an art like local artist store and we bought
Mm.
some jumpers and they're like if you leave a review you can get like a postcard you can choose 3 postcards and we're like oh they're really cool prints like we really
Yeah.
liked them as prints not like
Oh, that's,
postcards had but because they were done
yeah.
by local artists we're like oh of course we love free stuff like let's leave a review
Oh,
so
yeah.
like I was keen to know what sort of things have helped your clients get reviews because I know like even for me I'll send an email out to my clients hey do you mind leaving a review and then like
Yeah.
I send a reminder and I do that because I need to demonstrate to them the concept of asking and chasing for
Yeah.
reviews. But I understand like I have a client who's a financial planner and like they and it's like more business to consumer, whereas I'm working directly with business owners. So it's like it can be a little bit harder to remind or push people to leave reviews. So I was keen to know yeah, like what your recommendations were for getting more reviews or encouraging people to leave reviews on those pages.
Yeah, you have a good point, and I'm not 100% up to date on the legalese either. I know Yelp is typically a lot more strict than Google. Just about a year ago, I put together a campaign for one of my clients. They were a beard care company, and they offered beard care and like oils and all that for men. And we just did an email marketing campaign, and similar to what you were talking about, just offering an incentive. I don't know if we called it a giveaway. It was just, hey, for to and also just kind of creating the urgency of today only. We're giving this away, and it was, like a bundle worth $100. And we did get 17 new reviews that day. So I'm not sure
So cool.
if that would flag Google now. So I would say, just be kind of cautious and careful. So I have kind of transitioned with my clients to actually doing it more manually. They kind of hire me to essentially become almost an admin for them, and I actually call their clients directly on the phone, and we have an Excel spreadsheet, and we do everything manually. So I always find that that is the best case scenario because you're almost kind of doing customer service at the same time. Some people, it's actually a really great practice to do for your business because you may intercept someone who would have given you a one-star review if they weren't happy with your service. So you give them a call and say, hey, how was the most recent service or transaction? And some people who may not be satisfied, then you direct them to the owner and they can take care of that from a customer service standpoint. But let's say they do want to give you a five-star review, then we do that manually. And then usually they kind of offer a little gift or something on their next service. So that's what I have learned for my clients is the more personal it is, the better. But there are those other ways that you can do it in a more strategic kind of campaign setting where if you're a huge company and you have thousands of contacts, that might be a better avenue. And instead of doing today only to get all those reviews at once and maybe flag Google Business, you could do it over the course of a few months even and just send it to 10 people at a time.
Mm.
So those are some strategies that I have that I have seen help. And it's not wrong. You're just asking people who may not have thought to review you to just essentially sit down and do it. And that's kind of the hardest part is everyone is always busy. So offering that incentive, I find, is usually what kind of pushes them to actually sit down and find the time. So
Yeah. And I think like, obviously with what's allowed and what's not, I think incentive is different to like giveaway. So I feel like, and obviously people are doing it and they don't seem to be getting in trouble. So like I think as you're saying, there's
yeah,
lots of people that love your product and service. They're just forgetting. And if you keep like either if you don't have like it depends on your customer at the end of the day. If it like for me, I work with a handful of clients. Like, I have a very direct relationship with them where I can say, hey, don't forget, can you please leave me a review? And like, oh, yep, yep, yep. Whereas like if you're working with like hundreds and hundreds of people and
yeah,
and it's more business to consumer and you don't want to be annoying, like it might, you want to take a different approach or like just prompting people or leaving reminders. I think the thing is you're asking someone to do something when they're already busy. So I think that like, as you say, like those reminders or those campaigns, I think are really important. I've started like sharing those reviews for the week and then like sharing the link to the Google review. Like, oh, if you haven't already, please
exactly.
leave a review. And you mentioned something earlier about like bad reviews and this can be really hard because obviously you can't control it. The client that has 2,000 reviews, obviously, naturally, the more people you reach, the more chance you have of someone having a bad experience. Unfortunately, we can't be perfect all the time, especially in the food industry. Like there is going to be a bad meal. Like and you can't
Exactly.
have a perfect meal. But I
Yeah.
found like the more you get them, the better you are at replying to them. And the thing is, the good thing is it's not like social media where you have this back and forth. You generally reply and then you don't kind of hear from them again. But actually, I had
Right.
someone say to me, if I see a business that has I mean, mine all has 5 stars at this point, but again, I'm a bit more of a smaller business than like a big business. But they're like, if I saw a big business that had like all 5 star, I'd actually think it's more red flag. Whereas if there
Right.
is some like, a couple of threes, maybe a one, maybe someone had a bad experience, it actually doesn't deter me from buying or using that service. It goes, oh, they're human. And obviously they have done something. Whereas if it had all 5 stars, you'd think they would be buying reviews. You know what I mean? So I think
That's a great
yeah.
point. That's a great point. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that that makes a lot of sense. Another thing, as you were talking, just one thing that came through my mind was so one of my clients offers pest control. Like they remove all the bugs and ants and all the things that people don't want in their home. So they do service a lot of people. And then it is a bigger customer base that they have. So I actually kind of worked with them to employ a like an internal system so that when people were done with the jobs, they would write down, "Hey, was this client satisfied?" Like 1 through 10. They gave them kind of a survey initially, and then we reached out to them manually. And it was an internal admin assistant at their company. So just depending on the business, there's different ways that you can do it, but I didn't want to forget about the bigger company that maybe needed the internal admin doing it. And then, I helped train them to do that. But every company needs to figure out what system is going to work for them. But
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's a good point that you said. Actually, one of the financial planning client, they send out that like kind of NPS, and then if it's a low rating, they don't send prompt them to leave a Google review. Whereas if they do have a 5-star experience, then they because obviously you don't want to like get feedback from someone and then prompt them to share about it on Google review, right?
exactly. So that is where I go, okay, how much of this is skewed, but at the same time, I mean, it's it's a practice that I think every business owner does, and we are simply trying to capture the good experiences that people had. And then if there are those one-star reviews, people are naturally going to probably go on there and share their experience. You're not going to have to solicit that. So those are
Yeah.
those and it happens like you said, we're human and
Mm.
that's life. So,
I think it
yeah.
comes down to the reply. Like how I find I get really like turned off if the company's like really defensive because it's like
Oh,
you're just not take like, regardless if they're wrong, like you
yeah.
have to take some accountability. And I think like the ones that give like a really like, I'm sorry, like we are sorry you felt that way, or like, or sorry you felt that way, not like we're taking responsibility, but this is, and I
Yeah.
think like that just shows a level of maturity. Whereas like I've seen people get so defensive and I'm like, oh, you've really missed the point, regardless of like whether you're right or wrong or who made the mistake. Like just, take some sort of ownership and just like you don't have to be sorry, but just say sorry that they feel that way. And I think like it's just all about your delivery. And I think a lot of people don't have because it's their business and of course they're defensive and of course it's upsetting. But at the same time, like I think if we take every review personally, that's when people start to go, oh, these people are just like super defensive. Like it's hard, but it does definitely like people do get a bit turned off, I think.
Yes, yeah. I've definitely seen that myself as a consumer, and
Mm,
those are the ones that, yeah, might turn away people. So it is, like you said too, it is really important when you do reply to think of it coming from your business, to have it be professional, and yeah, validate your customer and their experience, and then offer something to give them a better experience next time. So yeah,
mm.
it's a good point.
Yeah, and I think like it happens a lot in like the social media world as well, like where, maybe it's usually an influencer has done something wrong and they go on to apologize and then they just don't get the apology right. And like I know we're all human and we're not always going to get 100% right, but that's where like and it's funny, I had this journal prompt this morning and it was like, where are you reacting rather than responding? And I think when you
Ooh,
react, it's
yes.
just more like people, yeah, it's just too defensive. It's too, whereas like if you take a minute and respond, I find it's like, regardless, like, yes, you can complain to your friends and family about how some idiot doesn't know what they're talking about. And I think that's more than okay. But I think, and it's funny because this one client that I have that, yeah, they're very well known. They do get negative reviews. It happens, and they get me to do it because it's their baby, it's their business. They've been in it for 20 years. It's their livelihood, and some people just don't understand that. Like the comments you get like 20 years ago this was $10, and it's like, yep, but 20 years ago electricity was also $10. So like, but how do you can't. There's no point fighting with someone on the internet because they just don't understand economics.
Exactly. That's why they need to hire you or me.
Yeah.
So
They need someone
we're
to be
available.
that gatekeeper. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
that
exactly.
emotional attachment that you have to it. So my one of my last questions for you is obviously now people are using like AI to find things, right? Like now ChatGPT is buying things on our behalf and researching, and a lot of us are kind of stepping away from Google search. How is having that Google My Business profile still so important in the wake of AI and people ChatGPTing everything?
That's a great question. I like to kind of refer to your Google business profile as being like a resume. If ChatGPT and AI is trying to understand who you are, where are they going to pull from if they don't have the information? Are you going to go to a job interview and not have a resume? So I kind of describe it like that. And yeah, I mean, I still am doing continued education because AI is moving so fast. So some of it is even beyond me. But I know that Bing is important to also update because it is affiliated with ChatGPT. And then Gemini, I believe, is affiliated with Google.
Mm,
Correct me if I'm wrong. But so yeah, I think so. If you're missing a piece of the knowledge panel, then AI only knows so much and will kind of fill in the blanks. So
mm,
that's why I think it's really important. One of the things that I've learned, and I don't know if this is necessarily Google Business, but I have heard that whether you're hosting it on Google Business or even your website, is creating a custom FAQ page. So instead of just putting it on your website, you could optimize your Google Business profile with common questions and providing detailed answers so that when AI is looking for information, it can pull from your Google Business page. So that's
mm.
kind of some of my understanding. To be honest, I do still need to do some more continued ed on AI and Google Business, but um, that's kind of my initial response. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have any more. Yeah.
No, that's so like I mean, you're right. AI is like an ever of I feel like we learn one thing and then tomorrow it's changed and this guy,
Yeah.
this business has acquired this one and that, but it's true, like how, and this is one of my clients talking about the evolution of like buyers and bots. So how basically next year we're going to have bots buying on behalf of people, but then we're also going to have buyers. So how do we create a user experience or a customer experience where the bot can seamlessly trawl your website and make a purchase or book something or whatever it is without any friction. So I guess it's the same thing with like your Google profile. Like if a bot is coming into like, oh, they don't have the answer, I'll go to someone else. So I like that idea of like the FAQs as well, because like if people are asking ChatGPT, like I literally just like I just got a loan, and I put all
Mhm.
of the documentation into ChatGPT. I was like, are there any red flags in this documentation? Because I was like, I'm not reading it.
Right.
I don't have time to read it.
Not gonna be 45 pages. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like can you just tell me? So like, and if we're asking these sorts of things to AI and it's going out there and trying to find things and it finds you as a credible source but then doesn't find the answer. And obviously we can't have the answers to everything, right? We're just guessing on what, or doing our
Right.
research in SEO, what people could be searching or what they are searching. But I think that's why you've got to keep evolving it, right? Because AI is going to keep having to find answers for people. So I think that's spot on. Like I think it's going to evolve, but if we don't have these like digital footprints set up, and even I've had a client who spent a lot of time on their SEO and Google, and then they'd be like, you'd think, oh, well, that's a waste of time now because of AI. But actually, in their onboarding form, she's a career counselor. It said, where did you find me? And they wrote AI. She had three people write AI. So because she spent years working on her SEO and she has actually invested more in her website than actually her social media, which I think is very rare these days, right? She is now winning. She's now ahead of everybody else because she actually took the time to spend time updating her website, her Google My Business, getting reviews, doing all of that. And now she's like, well,
Mm,
I'm getting
that's so
found on
smart.
AI. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's very
exactly.
good.
It doesn't know, but you don't tell it. And yeah, that's another reason to have your Google business page up is that if it's not existing, then how does it gather information from there? So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good point.
yeah, it's so true. Amazing. Well, it's got me thinking because I probably haven't updated my Google My Business profile in a little while. So that's a
You.
2025/26 holiday project, is just to go in and make sure it's like, and now with the scheduling platforms, if anyone does use scheduling, there is a Google, you can link your Google my profile in there, and you can be posting to it via scheduling. If you are like, oh, I'll put that on Facebook, I might repurpose that and edit the title, or whatever you do. It just gives us a chance to be visible on more spaces, and I think like that's more important now than ever. Yes, it's quality for sure, but also I think now it's like four different platforms, seven touch points, and 11 hours of research before someone will make a purchasing decision. So like, just having Instagram is not enough. You gotta definitely try and expand your repertoire of and your digital footprint. I think that's what's been able to help a lot of people that I've worked with and even myself is having kind of, you don't want to be everywhere. Like I don't have a Twitter or an X or whatever. Like there's platforms that I don't have, but I think it is important to
Exactly.
try and have that digital footprint for those instances.
Yeah, and now that you're saying this, it kind of ties back into something we were talking about earlier, but you were saying, making edits and updating them ourselves. And yes, that is super important. But another great thing is that once your Google Business profile is live, and if people are writing you reviews, they can attach a photo to it. So that's even great too, because it's kind of working for you, so that you're not having to upload everything every
Mm.
single time. Or even if you may not be consistent, even though you're getting those online reviews and someone may attach a photo, then that does update for you and that is feeding Google Business content. So that is another, just piece to the puzzle. So obviously, yes, we should still be updating it, but it is nice when it's being fed information from your customers too without you having to upload that. So that is nice.
Yeah, we definitely don't have that on the other platforms. So, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really good point. Good point. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom. I loved, getting a refresh on Google My Business, and I'm sure anyone that doesn't have a profile is now actively creating one, and anyone that hasn't updated theirs in a while will definitely be having a look at what they can do. And as you said, it is actually it's very low maintenance compared to the other platforms and other channels. And I find obviously it is connected directly with Google, and Google likes when you use Google things. So, that's never a bad thing. It's never a bad decision. But how can people find you, learn more about what you do, and potentially work with you?
Well, I am on Google My Business, so just look up Content Social Media Queen, or just my website is contentsocialmediaqueen.com, and then all my handles pretty much match that. So I can be found on pretty much all the social medias, except to your point, I'm also not on Twitter, so
Yeah.
it's just not a good profile. It's not a good platform for me. So
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
bit. I remember back in the day I did, and I was like, why do I have this? I don't even use it.
right. Exactly. And it's just ramblings, and I just might as well keep them in my head. So
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much. I loved chatting with you and connecting.
You as well. It was so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Google My Business. If you don't already have your profile set it up, if you have one, think about how you can bring it to life and use it a little bit more. And there were some great lessons for me in there as well. I have some clients that have a really strong Google My Business presence, loads of reviews, and it definitely helps. So if you have some time just to update it, I literally had a conversation with one of the girls that works in my team, and she does some video editing and has her own social media practice and business. And she's like, oh my God, I need to get my Google My Business up. So, this is for all those that don't have it. Okay. And if you're also wondering where we are not in the bus. If you follow us, we are actually renting a room in a share house because our bus is getting renovated, which is extremely exciting. But it means the podcast will not be from the bus. But the next time the podcast is in the bus, it's going to look amazing. I'm absolutely so excited. So keep watching episodes. Maybe in the podcast we can do like a little tour or something, because this is now like a vlog cast. But it doesn't really matter, because if you listen to it in your car, you'll still get the same outcome. But that's all for this episode. So be a content queen or king, and remember that developing your strategy and story develops your business. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you loved having guests on, if you love seeing people like Brittany come on the show, please leave a 5-star review. If you do that on Spotify, you can leave a little comment under the episode. On Apple, you can scroll down to the bottom, leave a cheeky review, write a comment. I would really appreciate it. Just helps me get more amazing guests on so we can deliver great content. If you love this episode and you want to share it with an entrepreneurial friend. You can add it to Instagram stories, tag us at Content Queen Mariah, or just hit the share button and share the link. And if you have any episodes that you would like me to do, any guests, if you'd like to be a guest as well, I'm always open to guests coming on the show. Make sure you reach out to me on social media, tell me the topic, all the things, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.